One of the stories that I think had the biggest impact on me, and not long after that story I actually decided to get out of the news business. You know, it really can be draining, especially if you're covering crime and stories like that, and you go into people's homes and you see and feel the impact of some horrible event on their lives, because typically that is what local news tends to do. Most of the stories, and most of the time a reporter shows up at your house, it's because something bad has happened. So as a reporter, you eventually start feeling those things. You try to be objective and to remove yourself personally from the situation, but that doesn't always happen. So one of the stories, one of the last stories I did that I remember was there had been a fire at an apartment complex in Nashville. Not long after, this was around the time when I had just become a mother and had my son, so everything was pretty emotional at that time for me. But there had been a fire at an apartment complex, and when we were on the scene, the fire department was there, of course, and they told us that the mother and I think 2 of her children had been taken to the hospital. And then we were standing around waiting, to go live and do our report. But then we hear one of the firefighters yell for us to get out of the way. And so I turn, and the firefighter is holding a baby that had been burned. And the baby, I say baby, I think he was maybe 4 or 5, but he had apparently crawled into the sink to try and douse the fire from his body, or to try and get to some water. So the image of the firefighter running out with the baby in his arms and then running past me to get him some help was probably the one story that I covered that stayed with me the longest, and sort of made me think, this is a really tough business to be able to see this stuff and report on these sort of things every night. You try as best you can, again, to not take it home with you, and people like to say reporters are maybe cold, uncaring people. That's not always the case, and so it's a tough business, and I'm not sure if the public really gets that or understands that behind the camera, when the news is over, there's still some things that reporters are left with and take home. Just my coverage of victims' issues and victims' rights was a pretty big part of my career. I think I tried to be fair in letting victims have a voice, because a lot of times when you're covering crime, everybody recognizes the name of the perpetrator and the offender of crime, but people sometimes tend to forget about the names of the victims, and especially in murder cases.